Voters in Winhall will be converging on the Mountain School on Tuesday, March 5th, for the annual town meeting. Winhall conducts its town meetings the traditional way, with voting off the floor. That's the way they'll amend and approve a town budget for the coming fiscal year, as well as authorizing the Select Board to appoint a collector of delinquent taxes. Candidates running for public office will be elected by Australian ballot. The polls will be open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. We talked with Town Administrator Lissa Stark to get an overview of the budget Winhall voters will be weighing in on. The town portion of the budget drafted by the Town Select Board calls for a roughly 6-cent increase on the tax rate and an increase in spending of about $663,000 to about $6 million.
We do look like the proposed amount is going to be up quite a bit. When we went into the budget working meeting, it was the select board had to make some serious decisions about how to move forward given the rising cost of everything and propose projects for next year, but also trying to keep the tax rate, manageable and not making too big of a jump. They don't like, they try to keep it as close as they possibly can. But we are looking at about a 6-cent proposed increase, which is roughly $663,000 more than the current budget cycle we're in now. And so if you look at our budget, we have started budgeting for, it says 18 million is what we're bringing in, because that also includes all the amounts that we pay back out to the school and the state for education taxes. So that's why the number looks a little bit large, but it is, just about 5 million of it is staying in the town. So that $663,000 increase really is made up of several things, but some of the bigger ticket items have to do with big culvert replacement projects and such, which are very expensive. So that's in there, as well as the cost of salt and sand going up, all of those things, and the cost of pretty much, just inflationary costs to raise everything. But we also started a new reserve fund to look at creating a new fire department building. So there's a small amount in the reserve fund that's a new line item this year that the select board is proposing that the voters consider creating that reserve fund so we can start to save for a new building. And then we did do a few higher appropriations to nonprofits in the appropriations section at the end of the budget. There are several nonprofits getting increases in the amounts that we give to them.
Town Administrator Stark also discussed some of the new developments underway, like work on a short-term residence ordinance, a new town website, and plans for a town reappraisal, which is needed because Winhall's common level of appraisal has dropped to about 65%. A common level of appraisal, or CLA, is basically a measurement of the actual fair market value of a property versus its appraised value.
But we do have an appraisal, townwide reappraisal scheduled, and that will be sometime between now and 2026. It's supposed to be done by 2026. But so you have that large expense there. So that we have been budgeting for it every year, putting a little into the townwide reappraisal fund, but that if it goes, if it's going to cost more than what we have already in the budget or in that reserve fund, then that could be an added expense to taxpayers. But it is something that we have been trying to plan for well in advance. We knew that we were going to have one last year, so we signed a contract last year for the reappraisal. The other thing to note is that we have a new line item in the revenues and a new section in the budget that is related to short-term rentals. So short-term rental licenses is, we're proposing that short-term rentals are going to, we'll hopefully have an ordinance fairly soon and be able to start the process of having rentals licensed or they are required to license through the town. And then we also have a section down in the budget, kind of under the planning and zoning section on page 4, at the very bottom. We have some expenses related to the short-term rental contractor, the short-term rental administrator, which they're two different. The contractor would be the company that we hired to handle most of the database work, and then the administrator will be someone that works for the town, or like a sub for the town. So those are some items of note that are changes in the current proposed budget for moving forward for the next fiscal year.
The budget that voters will study also blends in money for state and local education taxes and expenses, which total about $12.5 million. We'll have a separate look at Winhall's school district budget in a later program. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.